The movement we've witnessed in Bangladesh over the past month is being called the first revolution led by Gen Z.
Describe Gen Z in one word.
Engage yet isolated.
Our humor is kind of weird.
Kind of cringe, kind of...
It is weird.
Positively push and pee.
different.
Weird, maddening, lazy. These are words used to describe you, if you were born sometime between the late 1990s and the early 2010s. Maybe it's because you've been bred in a digital world, or maybe your views and behaviors are the byproducts of a constantly evolving world. I guess the big question remains, what is actually wrong with the next generation? Better yet, how deep does the Gen Z rabbit hole actually go? Unlike the baby boomers and millennials, Generation Z is the first generation born into a digital world.
A lot of the factors that influence how we behave is really external factors, and some of them even come from they themselves. The way we dress, the way we talk, the way we behave. Obviously, it's how where we're born, the timeline we're born.
Imagine that, a generation born into a world of enhanced connectivity, global awareness, a generation born with primal instinct and access to hone the power of social media platforms, online communities, and instant messaging. What could possibly go wrong?
People are so addicted to these things, but they don't actually control their own life. Social media almost does.
It said that we have an 8-second attention span, meaning that anything generic simply does not stand out.
But despite these obvious benefits of technology, technology is eradicating fundamental values that were embedded in prior generations, specifically trust, truth, and patience.
The price that Gen Z pays for their tech savviness, the unlimited access to information, and the enhanced connectivity is the stuff of nightmares. From rapidly deteriorating mental health to invasion of privacy to even exposure to predators, the challenges of Gen Z's digital upbringing is insane.
As a young generation, they're actually less equipped to deal with stress than previous generations. And so anxiety is high, and they're very confrontation avoidant.
A recent study by the journal Kesehatan Komunitas Indonesia, Big Picture Mental Health of Generation Z in the World, revealed the mental health condition of the younger generation, especially Generation Z, tends to experience an increase in disorders such as depression, anxiety, stress, sleep disorders, and suicidal thoughts, both before and during the COVID-19 pandemic. Another research from the Walton Family Foundation and Gallup, in partnership with psychologist Dr. Lisa Damore, proved that 1 in 3 Gen Z children feel they have to be perfect. I'm just speculating here, but I can bet on a lot of things that 1 in every 20 Zoomers are going through some form of depression, and this is partly due to the pressures of maintaining an online presence and the fear of missing out, or FOMO. Social media platforms often present unrealistic portrayals of life, leading to feelings of inadequacy and low self-esteem. The instant gratification offered by digital devices, I bet, contributes to shorter attention spans and reduced ability to cope with boredom. Even worse, it creates a choice anxiety that makes Gen Z struggle with mental health. On God. There is also the prevalence of cyberbullying and online harassment that can have lasting impacts on mental and emotional well-being. Some Gen Z also struggle with interpersonal communication in real-life settings as they are more accustomed to interacting through screens.
My best friend lives in New York.
And you've never met them in person?
I've never met them.
If you pay more attention to the disadvantages that come with being a Gen Z, you will be blinded to the advantages that come with it. Like the fact that Gen Z is often more open-minded and accepting of differences because they are regularly exposed to a wide range of perspectives. Not only that, there is also the fact that this generation is highly resourceful and capable of finding solutions to problems independently. With unprecedented access to information, they can literally learn about any topic with a few clicks. I mean, that's low-key busting a totally not straight-up cheugy. Did I say that right? I totally did. That wasn't cringe at all. You know what else isn't cringe? The fact that Gen Z can acquire skills and knowledge outside the traditional classroom setting through online educational resources such as Khan Academy, Coursera, or even YouTube videos, just like the one you're watching right now. Growing up in a world of technology has made Generation Z incredibly tech-savvy and quick to adapt to new technologies. This familiarity with digital tools has spurred innovation and creativity, with many young people using technology to create content, start businesses, and develop apps. Their proficiency with technology also makes them valuable assets in the modern workforce, where digital skills are in high demand. Sadly, I can't say the same about their opinions of 9-to-5s.
A new resume builder survey of 1,300 plus managers and business leaders revealed 74% found that those people who are 26 and younger tend to be the most challenging to work with.
There is a growing trend among Gen Zers, with more and more young people intentionally opting out of the workforce.
While they are highly proficient in digital literacy, there is a growing perception that Gen Zs lack traditional skills, such as manual labor or interpersonal communication. This shift in focus has also influenced their approach to work, with a noticeable trend toward seeking quick monetary gains through digital platforms like social media and gig economy jobs.
They're easily distracted, easily offended, and dishonest. 1 in 3 managers who find Gen Z difficult said they prefer to hire millennials because they're the most productive.
Because Gen Z grows up in a world dominated by technology, traditional manual skills such as woodworking, mechanical repairs, and other hands-on trades are perceived as less relevant. The convenience and efficiency of technology have reduced the need for these skills in everyday life. For instance, rather than learning how to fix a car or build furniture, Gen Z is more likely to buy a robot that can do it for them or ask ChatGPT how to do it.
It's a worldwide trend that we're seeing, right? It's one that crosses cultural and geographic boundaries. It's known as Gen Z's being needs. That stands for not in education, employment, or training. They don't necessarily adopt or believe in the hustle culture that we have seen in past generations, not valuing jobs as much or careers, and valuing kind of free time more so.
Interpersonal skills, such as effective communication, empathy, and teamwork, are crucial for personal and professional success. But the thing is, the rise of digital communication has altered how Gen Z develops these skills. While digital communication has its benefits, like the ability to connect with others globally, it can also contribute to a perceived lack of interpersonal skills. In professional settings, this manifests as challenges in teamwork, conflict resolution, and leadership, where strong interpersonal skills are essential.
Another thing that's really important is they really have this sense of hopelessness when it comes to hitting major milestones.
So they're not afraid of quitting.
So they turn to other means of making money quickly, plenty, and without stress. That's why a market that peddles virtual currency thrives in our world. Better yet, content creation. Social media influencers, for example, can earn significant income through brand partnerships, sponsored content, and advertising. Similarly, gig economy jobs such as freelancing, ride-sharing, and delivery services offer the opportunity to earn money on a flexible schedule. Unlike traditional career paths that may require years of education and experience, digital platforms allow Gen Z to monetize their skills and talents quickly. On God! And all this reflects in their somewhat scarred cultural knowledge.
You ever take a smartphone away from a 20-something? They don't know what to do. They look like they got hit with a shovel. It's like, I should have learned how to talk to people.
As the first generation to grow up fully immersed in the digital age, the way Gen Z acquires, processes, and values knowledge is different from what the world has ever witnessed. One of the defining characteristics of Generation Z's interaction with information is the sheer volume of content they encounter daily. With access to the internet, social media, and streaming services, they are constantly bombarded with news, opinions, entertainment, and educational content. While this has made them adept at quickly finding and absorbing information, it has also led to a more fragmented approach to knowledge. The traditional concept of cultural literacy, which involves a shared base of knowledge, including literature, history, art, and social norms, has evolved for Generation Z. Instead of relying on a common cultural foundation, they often draw from a diverse and eclectic range of sources. This can lead to a deep understanding of niche topics, but a lack of familiarity with broader cultural references that were once considered essential. Even the revered god of the virtual world of social media, the algorithm, has a role to play in shaping the consumption habits and cultural knowledge of Gen Z. The algorithm on these platforms tailor contents to individual preferences, creating a curated experience that often reinforces existing interests and viewpoints. While this leads to a more enjoyable and relevant consumption experience, it can also create echo chambers where users are less exposed to differing perspectives and unfamiliar cultural or historical contexts. This phenomenon can limit the breadth of cultural literacy, as Gen Z may be less likely to encounter content that challenges their views or introduces them to new ideas outside their usual interests. Also,
if you are a millennial content creator or whatever, just don't forget that a lot of stories that we know or whatever, Gen Z's never heard.
The speed at which trends and information circulate online can make it challenging for Generation Z to develop a deep understanding of cultural and historical contexts. Instead of engaging with lengthy articles, books, or documentaries, they tend to opt for quick, digestible content that provides immediate gratification but lacks depth. This shift has implications for how they perceive and understand broader cultural narratives, as the focus is often on what is trending now rather than on the historical foundations that have shaped contemporary society. Because of the time this generation was born, their cultural knowledge is screwed. But what if I told you, you haven't seen the worst of it? (2024) Bangladesh.
The movement we've witnessed in Bangladesh over the past month is being called the first revolution led by Gen Z.
The fact that this movement was led and continues essentially to be led by young people, by our students, is quite remarkable.
What started as a student protest led to a movement that forced Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to flee the country.
It started with a very simple movement in terms of quotas, but very soon it became a larger movement about, cronyism, corruption, misgovernance, and of course, the human rights violations which were committed against the protesters. Now, hundreds are dead.
And the fact that Gen Z led this uprising was also not surprising, as they are not beholden to the old taboos and narratives that the quota system reflected. Their willingness to break with the past became ferocious when Hasina belittled their demands in mid-July, asking who, if not the freedom fighters, should be awarded government jobs, ultimately equating the student protesters with traitors. In the end, the students she mocked forced her to escape from her own country in a helicopter. This is what happens when Gen Z gets pushed to the wall. Bangladesh is just one example of how powerful Gen Z can be when they come together, and we have the way Gen Z thinks to thank. In an era where AI technologies are rapidly advancing, the development of robust critical thinking skills is of paramount importance.
What is happening now basically is not from your parents. It is from what you get from your technology.
Internet.
What you see from your television.
Internet.
What you see from the internet. What you see from the movies you watch.
Millennials play a crucial role in fostering critical thinking skills by modeling the analytical behavior of their Gen Z offspring. This can include discussing current events, encouraging children to ask questions, and involving them in decision-making processes. By demonstrating how to evaluate information, weigh evidence, and consider different viewpoints, parents will help their children develop the skills needed to think critically in various situations.
I use technology for almost every aspect of my life. I'll wake up in the morning and check the weather app to see what the weather will be like that day, whereas my mom would have physically walked to the window and looked outside. While I'm eating breakfast, I'll scroll through Instagram and check the news, and on my way to school, I'll listen to all of my favorite music.
The ability to critically analyze, evaluate, and synthesize information is crucial not only for navigating the complexities of the digital age, but also for making informed decisions in both personal and professional contexts. As AI technologies increasingly shape the way information is produced, disseminated, and consumed, the role of critical thinking becomes even more critical to ensure that Gen Z can discern truth from misinformation, identify biases, and engage with the world in a thoughtful and meaningful way. Gen Z is constantly inundated with information from various digital sources, and while this access to information is empowering, it also presents the challenge of distinguishing between credible and unreliable sources. Without strong critical thinking skills, young people may struggle to differentiate between facts, opinions, and misinformation. This can lead to the spread of false information, the reinforcement of echo chambers, and a diminished ability to engage in informed discussions.
So, in a world where technology will never stop developing and evolving, I'd like to leave you with this quote. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn how to surf.
I guess the question we should be asking is, what is not wrong with Gen Z? I'll tell you what. The fact that we are the most racially and ethnically diverse generation, or the best educated generation. There is no doubt that the reality of Gen Z is that they are indecisive and easily influenced by social media.
The only way for Generation Z to survive this fifth industrial revolution is to embrace and preserve the values that distinguish us as human beings from any piece of technology that can ever be invented.
But now you have an idea of what's up with the next generation. The next mystery to solve is why you haven't subscribed to the channel yet.